Hello and welcome to WarrenThornton.com. Good evening and welcome to WarrenThornton.com. We have a ton of stuff that we have to convey to you tonight. We have an exclusive that nobody else has got, and we have this confirmed by 3 sources, and that will be to do with the Venezuela takeover story. We'll also have the story about the Ukrainian tanker. We will also have the story about the Ukraine minerals and the deal that has been signed by Kushner and by, of course, Vitkov. And, of course, the non-compliance to guarantees by the Americans. And we will also have the full reveal on the Ukrainian child trafficking story that we have been talking about. So without further ado, we're going to get into the first of our stories, and it is to do with, of course, Venezuela, because it is a massive thing. And, of course, we will get round to the Europe selling out Ukraine to BlackRock slavery and a little bit later on in the program. But it is massively important that we start with the nonsense that has gone on to do. And of course, we'll get to the tanker. But we want to show you this picture very simply. Let's see if we can get the right picture up to start with. Would be fantastic, wouldn't it? The problem that we have, of course, is everybody has all sorts of thoughts to do with everything that has gone on in Venezuela. And there are lots of people saying, who is responsible? We've got the answer for you. Now, very simply, we are going to show you a picture, if we can get the right one up, and hopefully we can. This should be the right one coming up on your screen now. There we are. Now, this is the Bentley Hotel in Doha. Now, let's get into why this is massively important. We are telling you now that the CIA and the Cartel of the Sun, which is a huge drug cartel inside of Venezuela, have been meeting and providing the CIA with evidence, not to do with the cartel, but to do with being able to find Maduro guilty without mentioning too much of the Cartel of the Sun. And we are going to now reveal exactly what's been going on and who is wrapped up in all of this. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to take you to an investigation by a gentleman called Ryan Dawson. Now, bear with me on this. This will all become clear. Now, Paul Singer's Elliott Management hedge fund firm emerged victorious in November in an auction for the US oil refiner, Citgo Petroleum Corp. Now, this is a Zionist billionaire that we're talking about here. Despite him being outbid by over $1.1 billion, a judge awarded it to him. Now, this is work by Ryan Dawson, so I'm going to give him a big up here. Funny that, now he will gain $100 billion. The court-appointed officers who forced the sale was Robert Pincus, is a member of the board of directors of AIPAC. He is also the former president of the Jewish Federation in Delaware. Maduro had tried to work out a deal through Richard Grenfell, but Trump ordered Grenell, on October the 2nd to stop all diplomatic outreach. This guaranteed the conflict. Grabbed Citgo in late November after US sanctions and shooting up fishing boats suppressed the price. Then a coup in early January. What are the odds? The incel group, a crowd, needs to go back to Fortnite and cartoons. We are not getting the oil. That's going to new management, and it isn't you. And he writes, don't give me the crap about this drugs. The CIA recruited General Ramon Guillén Davida to create a drug cartel to ship blow to U.S. cities after their CIA paid asset, Carlos Andres Perez, was president. 998 pounds of cocaine was shipped to Miami. And Trump and the neocons and the neo-imperialists want to pretend like the US is trying to stop drugs. Well, let's have a chat about that because this is incredibly important. Now, there has been secret negotiations in Doha. These negotiations have included the State Department of the US and the CIA, and of course, it has featured the Rodriguez, the Delcy Rodriguez, and of course her brother, who is called Jorge. They have had 3 meetings in Doha with the Americans. Now, some of this is known, some of this is not known. Now, very simply, the whole idea was transitioning this, and these 2 people we can now reveal are literally the financial people who keep the money flowing for the drug cartel, called the Cartel of the Sun, which is what they are trying to charge Maduro with. Now, on top of that, not only were Americans having secret meetings with Delcy Rodriguez, and of course this happened in April, in September, and October. So we are naming the three times that they actually met. These happened on these dates. Now we're going to give you, it's a very interesting development indeed. Now, we are also saying that at the Bentley Hotel in Doha, under the names of Alejandro and Valentina Gonzalez, CIA operatives met with cartel operatives to be able to give all of this information over. Now, it should be noted, as evidenced on Qatar's official website on October the 11th of last year, that is after the second Rodriguez proposal has been rejected, the vice president met with the Qatari ambassador in Caracas, Rashid bin Mohsen Faitas. According to the report that we have, the meeting discussed aspects of bilateral cooperation between the 2 countries, being the USA. Now, the same month, Delcy Rodriguez, who in addition to being vice president, was also serving as Minister of Hydrocarbons at the time, told workers at the petrochemical company Pequibin, this is the time to defend and not postpone into the future the dispute over Venezuela's energy sources. If there is anything we must leave our sons and daughters, it's the legacy of a free, independent and sovereign country, never an energy colony of any foreign power. But this was all complete nonsense. And the reason we're going to tell you this is because we have our source in the River House. We have a Pentagon source doing this, and everybody knows we have a wonderful Chinese source, and they are telling us the actual names and the dates of these meetings. Now, the director or the commander of the Presidential Honor Guard is a gentleman called Major General Gustav Gonzalez Lopez. So we'll just put that out there. Now, he was given the job on January. He was given the job as literally the head of the General Directorate of Military Counterintelligence. He was given that job on January the 6th of this year by Delcy Rodriguez. He was appointed by her. Now, this is a guy literally who is wrapped up in human rights organizations, systematic torture, arbitrary detentions, and extrajudicial actions as part of the state repression. He is a wanted guy, but they are quite happy to do business with him. Now, Delcy Rodriguez and her brother have long been people who, shall we say, like to play both sides of the fence, and they are well known in drug cartel circles. Now, we're hearing this from 3 different sources, remember, that these people are literally running the financial block for this cartel and are deep in the pockets of them. And the CIA and this cartel have met in a hotel in Doha, and they have been supplying the CIA with inner workings of how various, should we say, cartels work, so that they can find so that they can find Maduro guilty and show, shall we say, a massively good show of what happens when, of course, these cartels and drug smuggling and everything else comes to the fore. So they're giving them the inner workings to be able to do this. And these meetings have taken place at the Bentley Hotel in Doha. Okay. And as I say, we have just named, and we are quite happy to name the people that were, or the nom de plumes that they entered into Doha in. So these two people that came from the CIA came into Doha under the names Alejandro and Valentina, sorry, Gonzalez. So let's be absolutely clear. So we've got the CIA meeting with the cartel. This blows apart any thought that Maduro, of course, is being arrested for drugs. Given the billionaire Jewish owner who has now got hold of the largest petrochemical, shall we say, conglomerate inside of Venezuela, and given Trump's amount of, shall we say, money that he's got, and USA once again doing deals with drug cartels, the CIA doing deals with drug cartels in hotels in Doha. We're claiming this. There is nobody else out there that is actually claiming this either. But we are going to tell you that, of course, Lopez has very close ties with Delcy Rodriguez. Now, you will hear the name come up of a gentleman called Rodriguez Cabello, named, and neither of these, would you believe, are named in the indictment against Maduro. Not one of them is named. Now, Cabello was appointed in October 2024, and he remains in his position. And that is he is a cousin of the Interior Minister, Diosdado Cabello, and has been sanctioned by the US for alleged human rights abuses. And he is part of the Bolivarian National Intelligence Service, and it's Venezuela's primary civilian intelligence and secret police agency. So just to let you know, and he too is wanted for political repression, arbitrary detentions, and alleged torture of various people. So these are the guys that were in charge, and literally the guy who is the director of the DGICM, commander of the Presidential Honor Guard, is the man who stood down the military for them to be able to capture Maduro. So this was organized by the Rodriguezes. This was organized by the cartel. Everything was put together to do this to Nicolas Maduro. And this is exactly what we are saying. We have three absolutely impeccable sources on this, and this is what we are putting out there. You don't need to take my word for it. Start going and checking it. The Bentley Hotel, as I say, in Doha was used for CIA and the cartel to get together to produce a package to be able to put Nicolas Maduro and his wife away. Doesn't matter what judge is in charge of this case, Nicolas Maduro is going to be found guilty no matter what, no matter how thin. And what they are doing is producing enough evidence for the CIA to give to the State Department and then on to Pam Bondi to be able to prosecute and make it look as though Maduro was part of this. But the truth is that Delcy Rodriguez was responsible for getting him shifted. And of course, the head of his honor guard was responsible for the death of 32 people. Now, just going to put this up here before I let Sean Murphy in. 32 people died. All of them were Cubans. Now, the chances of you being able to surprise 32 people, being able to know exactly where Maduro was and what he was up to, these are the gentlemen who are dead, smacks of collusion and an inside job. There is no way that would normally happen. So what we are saying to you is these gentlemen, most of them were taken out whilst they were sleeping. This happened at about 4 a.m. in the morning, as you all know. Sean Murphy.
Well, Warren, sorry, I'm just trying to remember what I was going to say. It's it the evidence They're collecting the evidence, but the evidence actually probably is very, very flimsy. But it will be fabricated up to the hilt
Yes,
to make it credible, to make the evidence credible, so that they can get him.
yeah,
Uh, that's
exactly
the
that.
way they're working. The evidence is probably so flimsy that they normally you wouldn't have a chance, but they will manufacture and fabricate this evidence so that so that he will go away for pretty much ever,
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
and his wife as well, I dare
Yeah.
say.
But the nonsense, this is the thing, Sean, the nonsense that they are saying this is about drugs. They're actually working with the drug cartel to make sure that Maduro is found guilty.
It's that we
Well,
all know it's not about drugs, don't
yes,
we? We all
yes,
know
we
it's
do.
about
It's all
oil.
about oil. But of course, we've got this Jewish billionaire who is now going to be rich as Croesus. Nilus and then Louis Bastos. Nilus.
Yeah, I heard one commentator saying this is a precursor to the a war with Iran because they want to secure oil supplies if the Straits of Hormuz and the Middle Eastern oil is cut off.
Yeah, well,
Um,
we what we do know, Nilus, is that the NGOs there have been giving people flamethrowers and Kalashnikovs. Now, when did ever peaceful protesters ever get them going onto the streets of Iran?
yeah, because for me, yeah, it's all planned out because I reckon that Jeremy Corbyn was taken out because they had already planned to
Yes,
have this Hamas
highly likely.
uprising, and they
Highly
didn't
likely.
want to have a they wanted to have a pro-Israeli prime minister in Britain as well because, as we know, Britain is very much helping the Israelis.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
we'll get on to him shortly. We're about to be joined by Lembit Opik actually. Let's allow Lembit to come in here, and of course let's just get Lembit onto the show as a panelist. He should be joining us any second. Let's just make him co-host, and we will just briefly go over what we've been talking about. Louis Bastos.
Good evening, good morning, good evening, everybody. I said this 2 days ago when we first found out this, that doesn't matter if he's innocent or guilty, they will plant evidence to make him guilty. I had it on the cards.
Yeah, absolutely. Very quickly, Lee Williams.
Sorry about that. I was going to say, Eric just put it out that Russia is collecting some officials from from Israel. So there must be something going to be happening that Russia knows about. I just thought I'd let you know
Okay.
that was from Eric.
Don't know about that, but thank you very much.
Yeah.
Lembit, you just going to run you through what we've revealed. We are claiming here. Here we go. We have this gentleman here. We've got the Bentley Hotel in Doha, which has been the scene of 3 meetings between the Rodriguezes. This is Delcy Rodriguez and, of course, Jorge Rodriguez and American representatives. The gentleman we are turning around and saying that is responsible for dropping the 32 people in it who got killed and standing down the military is the director of the DGCIM and commander of the Presidential Honor Guard, Major General Gustavo Gonzalo Lopez, appointed by Delcy Rodriguez on January the 6th, replacing the previous director, and of course he's a Chavista hardliner. We have also been given evidence by 3 sets of people, one of them being from our Chinese friend, and of course from somebody in the River House, the meeting between the CIA and the Cartel of the Sun took place in this hotel using the names Alejandro and Valentina Gonzalez. It should be noted, the evidence on Qatar's official website on October the 11th of last year is that after the second Rodriguez proposal had been rejected, the then vice president met with Qatari ambassador in Caracas, Rashid bin Mohsen Faitas. According to the same report, the meeting discusses aspects of the bilateral cooperation between the two countries. The same month, Delcy Rodriguez, who in addition to being vice president, was also serving as Minister of Hydrocarbons at the time, and is well known for washing, shall we say, money laundering for the cartel of the Sun. The financial overlords meeting took place in April, September, and these secret meetings between the cartel and them, and we also have, of course, a Jewish billionaire who has suddenly won a bid to take over the oil concession. Lembit, these are all fairly staggering claims we're making, but we are unbelievably certain of what we're saying here. So it looks like Delcy Rodriguez, lined up with the help of the CIA and the drug cartel, is lining up Nicolas Maduro with enough evidence so that he's found definitely guilty in the US court when it comes to trial.
Well, there's so much there. I can't possibly comment on the veracity of your claims. So I can only give you a conditional observation. That fits in with what you've just heard from our friend, that he's bound to be found guilty. If he's not found guilty, the implications are almost imaginably bad for the American administration, because then it looks like an entirely politicized kidnapping.
Yes.
And Maduro would then be vindicated. They can't have that, really. And so a lot of people, even if they're not friends of Maduro don't respect him, would express concerns about what's happened. It's interesting that for once, and this doesn't happen often, for once I actually agree with my former office colleague and now leader of the Liberal Democrats, Ed Davey, who pointed out the illegality of the action. And,
yes.
And that is a huge problem. Even if you think Trump's great, even if you think Maduro is terrible, it's an incredibly high stakes game. That's something we covered in one of your recent shows. So where do I stand on this? Well, with the apprehension of Venezuelan cargo ships and so on, or tankers, with the blockade of Venezuela, America is being quite unabashed in its intentions. And I still believe the most likely long-term outcome, or even medium-term outcome, will be for Vladimir Putin and President Xi Jinping and China to say to other South American countries, we'll give you security guarantees if you do business with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to avail you of this, Lembit. Sorry if I'm repeating myself, everybody, but Lembit may or may not know about this. The Venezuelan raid actually enriches a MAGA billionaire. Now, Paul Singer's Elliott Management hedge fund firm emerged victorious in late November in an auction for US oil refiner Citgo Petroleum Corp, despite being outbid by over $1.1 billion. A judge awarded it to him. Funny that. Now he will gain 100 billion. This is, of course, from a friend of ours, Ryan Dawson. The court-appointed officer forced the sale. Robert Pincus is a member of the board of directors of AIPAC. He is also the former president of the Jewish Federation in Delaware. Maduro had tried to work out a deal through Richard Grenell, but Trump ordered Grenell on October the 2nd to stop all diplomatic outreach. This guaranteed conflict. Grabbed Citgo in late November after US sanctions, and shooting up fishing boats suppresses the prices. Then a coup in early January, and suddenly it goes through the roof. That's going to new management, obviously the oil. And of course, the CIA recruited General Ramon Gulen Davila to create a drug cartel to ship blow to US cities after their CIA paid asset, Carlos Andres Perez, was president. 998 pounds of cocaine was shipped to Miami. And of course, he's been released. Lembit.
Well, I can't be expected to comment.
Can I just put in for a second? Lembit's camera doesn't seem to be working, Warren.
Yes, it is. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It must be you. Go out and come back in again, John.
Exactly.
Lembit.
Yeah, well, I can't comment. I just don't have the information to comment on those things. They're entirely fascinating, but I hear what you're saying. I don't want to repeat everything I said before. The big So the big point here is America has to prove criminality by Maduro and show therefore that they've apprehended a criminal, because if they don't, then they've kidnapped a head of state, and that's a bad look.
It is. Absolutely, it is. So that is what we have as far as we're concerned. And we stand by every word we've said here. And of course, we're now going to ask Lembit on a couple of other things. So we had the idiotic meeting. People say it was idiotic, and I would be one of those, and we'll get onto the tanker in a minute. But we need to talk about this because it is very, very important. We've had the meeting with Vitkov, and of course, let's have a listen to what he had to say.
We think we're largely finished with security protocols, which are important so that the people of Ukraine know that when this ends, it ends forever. But we also think, critically, that we are very, very close to finishing up as robust a prosperity agreement as any country has ever seen coming out of conflicts like this. It will aspirationally mean large, large possibilities for the Ukrainian people, for people coming home from war who will find wonderful jobs out there. We're working with BlackRock, Larry Fink in this endeavor, and we think it's going to be very, very important for the people of Ukraine. And we believe that a robust economy correlates and works directly with these security protocols. It makes Ukraine a strong, independent nation. And we think that's really important in terms of their long-term future.
So there we are, Lembit. It's going to be a fantastic and fascinating time out with BlackRock. And of course,
BlackRock, that bastion of altruism.
So that's 2 million people have died so that Ukraine can be sold into slavery to BlackRock, where when you come back from the army, having had your leg blown off, you can go and work down the mine.
Well, it's a bold statement. BlackRock seems to have made a very bad call in terms of backing the wrong side in this war. They've de facto lost access, at least for now, to the very rich mineral deposits in the areas now occupied by Russia. But this is once again because BlackRock isn't run by very good politicians. There seems to be a massive deficit of good politicians in Western government, Western Europe, in the West generally. And I don't know what it is about people who think because they make a lot of money, they must be good at business. To be very good at politics, you really have to understand humans. And Starmer and all those people in the coalition of the Wallies, they don't understand people. And I think BlackRock's the same. They understand money. And a dollar is not the same as a mindset.
No.
Yeah, a fistful of dollars doesn't mean that you've got a head full of emotional intelligence. And that's why they called it wrong.
Let's get into this then, because you said that's a bold claim. We're going to get into this a little bit. Here we go. This is Lvov and all the oblasts. This is the Ukraine's critical resources, as you can see by the map, and I'll leave that up for a minute. The slightly brown or very dark, light brown that you can see is the current areas that, of course, Russia control at the moment. The areas, the rest is controlled by Ukraine. But in the beige is the areas where, of course, we have, how can I put this as nicely as possible? We have the absolute, should we say, BlackRock infusion. Those areas are where BlackRock have actually bought land, Lembit. That is quite a lot of parcels of land.
That's really careless. And that's what they've done wrong. Well, you never know. Maybe some parts of that we saw in that picture will remain in Ukrainian hands, but a lot of it hasn't been the case. What's interesting is that after people saying, "Oh, it's terrible that America wants to buy Greenland," these foolish political imbeciles in the West don't think there's anything wrong with BlackRock buying whole parts of Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's get into a little bit more of this, Lembit, because this is what Novorossiya is going to look like if the Russians have their way. Okay, so we have Odessa, Mykolaiv, Dnipropetrovsk, Kharkiv, Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, and of course Crimea, with the rest being okay. And of course we'll get round to you in a second, Nilis. The rest being okay to be in Ukraine hands. Now, when you total this up, and the maps, of course, show this quite clearly. Let's shrink this down a little bit here. We've got Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk, Luhansk. If it goes Novorossiya way, they'll have Kharkiv, Dnipropetrovsk, Mykolaiv, and of course Dnipropetrovsk is massively rich. They'll have Mykolaiv, Odessa, and of course Crimea, which will give them $9 trillion of minerals compared to only $3 trillion that would be in the rest of Ukraine. This may be one of the reasons they want to freeze the front line, Lembit.
Yeah, well, the Ukraine can freeze the front line wherever it wants. It'll melt. It'll melt because Russia's got 3 recurring demands, and Ukraine and the West, probably with the exception of Donald Trump, is absolutely guaranteeing that Russia will be happy to carry on fighting because they're going to get it by military means or by peaceful means, but they're going to get it either way. That's what Vladimir Putin has said, and he's right. And because whether you like it or not, this isn't a moral judgment. This is a military judgment. He's right, because there is nothing to stop him. We have a pathetic, disorganized, conscript army of people older than me and others too, some of whom will be good fighters, but all of whom are really in danger of dying at the hands of terrible mismanagement by war loser and professional comedian Volodymyr Zelensky. So what we're seeing here is an open, honest claim by Russia, and Russia will say, we'll keep going until we get what we want. They could add in brackets, and the less you play ball, the more we'll keep going. The more people you're willing to kill, the more people you're willing to lose, the more money you're willing to waste, the more land we're going to get. So bring it on. Putin doesn't want to see the death of his people, but he's willing to take the 18-to-1 ratio, which is quite credible, I think. Though you wouldn't think so in the Western media. Western media says that Russia's got the appalling losses, but that doesn't even make even make any military sense. You've got a professional army against a bunch of conscripts and elderly people, and so on, and demotivated people compared to the Russian side. So however you look at it, this is a horrendous miscalculation, not just by BlackRock, but by anybody who thinks that holding out is going to do any good for Ukraine. So they had the first tier of territories. Now it looks to me you're adding a second tier there as well. They probably stop there. Whatever else happens, they'll probably stop there.
Yeah, exactly that. Let's hear from Nilis and then Mark Onza, and then we're going to talk about this very, very bogus peace deal. Nilis.
Well, if BlackRock's going to invest in Ukraine, it's going to get pennies on the dollar, isn't it? Because Ukraine's in so much debt that it needs that money. Yes. And I think that what BlackRock's plan for the Ukraine is BlackRock's plan for the west of Western Europe and America as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing, Nilis: the eastern mines are already up and working. The investment they'll need in West Ukraine to get the minerals out of the ground is going to be it's going to be quite small. So Dnipropetrovsk, for instance, that's $3.5 trillion right there.
Yeah, if I was in Ukraine, I would want to be under the Russians. I hope if the Russians come quickly and protect me from the Western vultures. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. Thank you very much, Mark Onza.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what sort of area are they going to use for a demilitarized zone, and what will happen to minerals inside that area and business and commodities? At
Exactly
least
that.
75 kilometres, isn't it?
Yes, let's put it this way, Mark Onza. Well, the UK don't want that. They want it to be around about 10 kilometres, and they want it frozen where it is in place, and to only have a 5 or 10 kilometres, and of course put troops in there, and we'll get onto that in a short while. But Mark, you're absolutely right. This is all about having a frozen conflict, so they don't keep losing what is in the ground. And it is quite clear now from what Witkoff and Kushner have come out with that this was nothing else than a deal, as we said it would be, an economic deal rather than an actual peace deal. Eric Jones, then Andy Edge.
As you put it earlier, Warren, the average Ukrainian just can't wait to get home from the war so they can go mine minerals for Larry Fink. I'm sure that's the case, right?
I'm sure they'll love it. When I'm walking around on two stilts because I've had my legs blown off, I'll quite happily pack a thermos and a few sandwiches, and I'll disappear down the mine for a 12-hour shift. After all, it'll be just like hiding out in the war before, won't it? Andy Edge.
Yeah, just going back to the tanker which has been boarded.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Yep.
Yeah. I know this isn't going to be a very popular answer, but I'll just torpedo and say what you're going to do.
Well, it's empty. You're going to hear a lot of nonsense about this. It's got tons of oil in it. It is totally empty, but we will get onto that. Lemby, let's attack this peace deal for a minute here. Well, not attack it. Let's pull it apart. They're saying that once the peace deal is done, Merz has said he will take responsibility for the whole of the peace deal and the whole zone. Let's have a little listen to what Merz had to say, because he's got very far forward on his skis indeed. Let's have a listen to what he's got to say.
Germany is Kiev's strongest supporter, and after a ceasefire, Germany will accept responsibility for the security of Ukraine and for the continent as a whole. We also
the whole of the continent, Lemby, they're going to protect. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Really, really bad language to come from a chancellor in Germany. It's so diplomatically clunky. But secondly, how Germany couldn't even protect its own borders because Angela Merkel opened them up and got a couple of million migrants there, and that's caused the AFD, which is the German equivalent of Reform UK, to do tremendously well. But Merz isn't seriously credible in any way. I would expect the AFD to have a very good chance of being the next government there. Come on, look at them. Merz, Macron, Starmer, Zelensky. That is not the dream dinner party, is it? Those are not the people that you'd invite to come dine with me. The one thing you wouldn't get is great conversation. They would be amusing, but they'd be amusing in a way which is road crashy. It's just unbelievable. I was watching Prime Minister's questions. If you're watching this live, watching Prime Minister's questions on the 7th of January. You might be watching this in the archive, but either way. And it was cringeworthy to watch Starmer. Such a poor performer, but so are the rest of them. The people I just listed.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, they were signing this declaration of intent, of course, to put troops into, and of course, they were saying, oh, we'll put troops in, not a problem. Everybody will be all right. Let's have a little listen to Starmer here. Let's just get that.
Intent on the deployment of forces to Ukraine in the event of a peace deal. This is a vital part of our ironcast commitment to stand with Ukraine for the long term. It paves the way for the legal framework under which British, French and partner forces could operate on Ukrainian soil, securing Ukraine's skies and seas and regenerating Ukraine's armed forces for the future.
Lembit, did they not hear the Russians when they said no NATO troops in Ukraine?
They didn't hear. They didn't hear. That's like saying, I'm not going to lend you my lawnmower, neighbour. The neighbour says, when you lend me, when you lend me your lawnmower, I go to look, get some peacekeeping people to mow the lawn. No, I'm not lending you the lawnmower. I'm not going to let you use my property. Well, when you do, I'm going to get some people to look after it. Mr. Starmer, I don't agree. Well, when we do that, and that's what's happening here. I couldn't believe my ears. Trump and Putin have both said no ceasefire, no ceasefire, no NATO troops. Fundamental condition: no NATO troops. As soon as I heard them say that, I thought, there we are, the coalition of the Wallies at it again. And you just know this is going nowhere. And then you saw them all pompously signing these bits of paper. It's like it's like fantasy football. It's not a real team. It's pretend. It's not real.
Let's Louis Bastos and then Lee Williams. And then I'm going to ask you another question, which breaks yet another one of it's a massive deal breaker yet again. Louis Bastos, then Lee Williams.
I thought I heard him say the sea as well, but they're not going to have the sea for very long because we will take Odessa, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they'll just blockade it. They'll blockade it. Lee Williams.
Is it a falsity that anybody around the UK thinks, there's now it's going to be okay out there, and the troops can go out there? It's not a problem. It's a basic lie from the West.
It's going to be absolutely smashing. I'm going out there myself on HMS Diversity and Inclusion. Mark Onza.
Brian, you've been a referee. Wasting time. The more time that goes on, the more money they can launder. They're going round in circles. You know they are. It's a
Get
game.
it in the washing machine, mate.
Yeah.
Get it in the washing machine.
I'm sure I heard this one 6 months ago from.
Yes, and we've said this over and over. Lembit.
I've got something to say here. Right, you may not want to be on the good ship DEI, diversity, equality, and inclusion. I do, and I can guarantee I'll get onto it, Warren Thornton, because I'm going to identify as a group which is massively underrepresented in the coalition of the Wallies. Massively underrepresented. I will identify as a realist. They'll have to let me on because there are no such people in the crew at the moment.
I don't think you'll be
apart
allowed.
From Orban, yes, Orban. He and I'll share a cabin with him. Nobody else.
What you want to do is go over in one of those rainbow tanks or tin cans, as I tell them. That'll be a really good disguise to go in. Here's the other thing, right? Everybody is talking peace, Lembit. Okay, wonderful. We're going to have peace. How are we going to have peace when they are literally just appointed Budanov, who is the head of the SBU, who the Russians want for war crimes, and Christopher Freeland, whose father and grandfather were committed Nazis, has just been hired as an advisory on the economic development. And of course, I have my own choice. She was the former deputy leader for Canada. And of course, you know that I got in trouble for exposing Nazis in Canada. Christopher Freeland has just been hired. I mean, they're literally hiring more neo-Nazis, Lembit.
Well, it's a bit like your last question. They don't understand what you mean. It's a very simple thing you've just said, but they don't get it. They just don't understand. There's no other way of putting it. But it's dealing with a bunch of total incompetence. And I actually have become quite despondent about politics generally, because sometimes I wonder, am I just playing it up for the cameras? Am I saying these things because I think they're amusing? It's just not funny when thousands of people are dying a week, mainly Ukrainians, because of the appalling decision-making by these individuals. If their sons and daughters were on the front line, they wouldn't be making these decisions. Mark Rutte has no stake in the game. He's got no children. And I worry if that means that he just doesn't empathize Well, what it's like to get news of your dead Ukrainian son or daughter or father or brother or sister or husband being dead on the front line. I don't
Yeah.
think, I don't know if he understands that. I don't know what his relationship status is, but what about somebody he cares about? And this is all very odd, very odd character who don't really know anything about him. But if somebody he actually cares about, if he cares about anybody, was sent to the front line, would he make the same decision? Lethal force?
Yeah, it is quite staggering, isn't it? And when we're talking about this sort of crazy idea, and of course the Russians are going to dismiss this straight off the bat, and we'll talk about the tanker in a minute, because of course they've gone and boarded the tanker, which isn't exactly the smartest move to do when you're trying to make a peace deal. We've also, without the American help here, they've also today launched these ridiculous HIMARS into Belgorod over the course of the last 24 hours. I mean, when you're trying to negotiate a peace deal, this doesn't help, does it, Lembit?
Of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. I mean, it just it's like, well, it's one-sided again. Apparently, Ukraine can do what it wants. It can kill civilians and blow up generals in Moscow, but woe betide any such thing happening when Russia attacks Ukraine. I often say this on your show. I'm surprised how few civilian casualties there are. It's still not nice for it's horrible for the victims and their families. But you can see there's quite a lot of precision striking going on, and war is really messy. And as Vladimir Putin has said, and it's impossible to overstate this, I'm going to get what I want for the reasons I've expressed 100 times, everybody. And I'd like to do it peacefully so that the fighting stops. But if you don't want to do it that way, then I'll get it militarily and I'll just get it. That's what he said. And you don't actually have to have a big moral debate about it. That's the reality. And by the way, the moral debate's out the window now, because the very same people who are criticizing Vladimir Putin are vaguely agreeing with Donald Trump for going into Venezuela. And Britain actually helped to seize this tanker.
They did.
And they're making these mincing noises about Greenland, but they won't do anything about it. So it's just, and they actually send money to somebody who is also suspected and accused by various people of corruption, Vladimir Zelensky. Nothing's been proved there, but nor has anything been proved about Maduro. But apparently there isn't a symmetry there. Well, okay, then show me why not. Show me why we just take it on trust that Vladimir Zelensky is innocent when his own former business partner ran away from Ukraine when he was investigated for corruption, his own business partner. And then his number two, Zelensky's political number two, resigns as soon as somebody goes into the apartment to look for evidence. And on top of that, you've got the independent commission on corruption. When it starts looking, he tries to shut it down, and then only reinstates it because of popular protests in Ukraine itself. This is the problem. We are dealing with a bunch of foolhardy, self-satisfied opportunists. And I'll have to say, Vladimir Zelensky, if you're watching, what you've done doesn't fill people with confidence that you're innocent.
No, absolutely. Let's ask you this question then, Lembit. Zelensky has got to be dismayed, hasn't he? Because at the end of the day, when it came to signing the Declaration of Intent to provide security guarantees, America bottled it and decided not to do it.
Of course they weren't going to sign it. They were there to tell Europe and the coalition of the Wallies what to do. They, behind closed doors, will have said, this is what we want to tell you about Venezuela. This is what we want to say about Greenland. Oh, and by the way, with Ukraine, you're still on your own, but we'll sell you the weapons.
Yeah, it does seem an absolute crazy thing, doesn't it?
By the way, my team has been looking into Mark Rutte. He identified himself as a believing person, but then he said in a sermon in 2016 that he's 51% sure there is something more out there, but the other 49% of him has doubts. Well, honestly, I mean, that's just such a meaningless statement. And it sums up Mark Rutte. The only thing he's sure about is that if you're able to kill more people, you have more peace. We've tried that. It's not a great look.
Well, he also came out with a statement today, just very quickly while we're on Mark Rutte, turning around and saying that it's a good idea for these people to be able, would you believe, for Donald Trump to be able to send additional troops to Greenland.
What?
Yeah.
What does that even mean? So he
Well,
doesn't object to.
He doesn't object.
He doesn't object to any. Hang on, he doesn't basically object to the military acquisition. I mean, that goes with Rutte's doctrine. Might is right. So presumably Mark Rutte's happy if the 57,000 Greenlanders who've just had their all Greenland football knockout football competition, which has 5 football games in it, if those people suddenly get invaded and conquered by a force of Americans who are already there. I don't understand. Is Mark Rutte saying that he's happy with a military intervention by Trump on Greenland? It's hard to understand that.
It's pretty much what he's saying. He's turning around and saying he doesn't have a problem or an issue with the US sending extra troops to Greenland, which is pretty much where we are. Somebody who's not going to be sending troops anywhere is Maloney Lembit. She's turned around and said no troops to Greenland, no troops to Ukraine for a peacekeeping force.
Yeah, I really. How did she say that exactly? Because I actually quite respect Maloney. I think she's one of the more thoughtful people. What exactly did she say?
She said that if a peace deal is signed, then she has ruled out any chance of Italian troops taking part in this in boots on the ground in Ukraine.
Right. Great. That's perfect. That's what I'd expect from her. Maloney and Orban are the 2 European politicians who seem credible. If you look at her face in the pictures, and that doesn't really mean anything, I suppose, but I want to believe her face is telling the truth because she's scowling and almost rolling her eyes and feeling like it feels like she's saying, I really don't want to be with these clowns here. I would say that Maloney and Orban are the 2 people I actually have still got respect for.
Yeah.
And simply because they tell it like it is. An unwinnable war. We don't want to be involved in it. They don't say this. Maloney doesn't say this as far as I see. Russia's got a point, but Orban does.
So one last thing before we get on to the tanker. And of course, we have to talk about this. To borrow a Blondie phrase, Macron, for the last 2 weeks, we are reliably informed, has been trying to ring the Russians to talk to them. And he's got absolutely nowhere. As Blondie said, he's been hanging on the telephone.
Macron has had a great victory. He's had a great victory. Let's be fair. The courts somewhere ruled that he's married to a woman. Great. Fantastic. He's finally got something to show for his time as president of France. Beyond that, he hasn't won a whole heap of other things, including respect, because he's just another nobody in high office. Yeah. There's nothing much more you can say about it. You can say that in a lot of different ways, but he's kind of the Starmer of France.
Yes. Nilus.
Yeah, I think it was the court upheld his cyberbullying claims. I think not that his wife was not a woman.
Yeah, 12 people have gone to jail because they turned around and said it's a bit of a bloke, it's a bit of a man bloke, so they put him in jail. It seems as though
what was exactly the? I thought they were being. I thought I didn't really follow it closely because you know what? I don't lose sleep over whether Macron's married to a man or not. I don't really care too much about it. But what exactly have they been prosecuted for then?
They've been prosecuted
cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying.
Oh, right. I see. Okay. Sorry. Okay. I actually thought I modify my position then. What they've achieved is proving that Macron's proved that his marital partner has been cyberbullied. Okay.
Yes.
Don't read my Twitter feed. There's an awful lot of bullying going on there at me, but somehow I'm still here. I'm okay, folks. Don't worry. You can be
Yes.
rude to me on internet, and I'm unlikely to sue.
It is quite incredible, Lembit. There are certain people in which cyberbullying you're allowed. Suddenly, the authorities will leap into action, like to you and me, Nillis.
Well, I think these are new, Macron's brought in new cyberbullying laws, which these people have been prosecuted under. It's a bit like the Labour Party brought in the whole of Europe's brought in cyberbullying laws, just basically to get rid of anybody that disagrees with them.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Mark Fonzel.
Weren't France responsible for bringing in Colombian mercenaries into war?
Say again, buddy.
Weren't France responsible for bringing the Colombian mercenaries into war?
They were, yeah, they absolutely were. All of them.
Putin don't forgive and forget.
Yeah, and we mustn't ever forget that that's exactly what they did. It's a very good point, well made, Mark. France were also responsible for going over and setting up NATO headquarters in 2020. We've actually showed the documentation that shows that. Let's get into this then, Lembit, because there's a bit to unpack here as well. Here's the tanker.
Yeah.
We're going to show the whole 3-minute video here. And since there's no sound, Lembit, you can give your assessment of finally Hegseth saying they can board it.
Well, they're boarding it. I mean, they're obviously coming on to it. It's hard to know why they're doing this, really. I don't get this point. I don't get this part. Is it full of oil? Can you see what level it is in the waterline in this one? That'll tell
there's
you if
no
it's
oil in it at all.
Well, you can't really tell because I can't tell how much of the vessel is above water. It's hard to tell where the waterline is on that actually, because it does look like it could be laden. But whatever the situation, I just don't know what they're trying to do here. Are they just trying to get their 50 million barrels of oil by force?
Quite incredible, isn't it? And of course, as I say, that's basically the operation. Louis Bastos and then Lee Williams.
I glimpsed a bit of different colors on the hull, so it could be without oil. There were a bit of different colors. How full it is, I don't know. How full?
I am being reliably told that it has no oil in it whatsoever, and that's why the Americans are so annoyed.
I saw the two different colors in the hull. So.
Yeah. Lee Williams, then Nillis.
I believe there's no oil on it, but they might be using it for Venezuela, as a guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Venezuelan tanker. Let's very quickly just explain to everybody what the score is with this, okay? So it's a tanker that was using Venezuela. Its previous name was Bella 1, and now, as you can see, it's called something completely different. And of course, the Mariana, whichever you want to pronounce. Nillis.
Well, I think after decades of American sanctions and neglect, Russia and China were heavily investing in Venezuela, and now the Americans are saying it's nothing to do with you. Get out of our territory.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got a picture of the Marinera. Here we go. That is it. Just literally hours before it was, a few hours before it was boarded. Doesn't look fully laden to me.
No.
Nillis, Lembit, you're right about when we look at the reasoning behind this, because on top of that, Lembit, and this is being very quietly being in the Caribbean Sea, they boarded another one called. Now, this is just piracy, isn't it? I mean, what my point is, if they've already captured Maduro, what are they doing boarding Venezuelan vessels still?
Well, the difficult question is, what has boarding Venezuelan vessels possibly got to do with alleged criminality by Maduro? They're not his ships. And that it's just very difficult to understand what their defense will be in that situation.
Can we have some
I
clarity,
don't
Levitt?
understand it.
Let's have some
Well,
clarity, Caroline Levitt.
The vessel this morning was seized in the North Atlantic pursuant to a warrant issued by a U.S. federal court after being tracked. And this was a Venezuelan shadow fleet vessel that has transported sanctioned oil. And the United States of America, under this president, is not going to tolerate that. I would also just add the vessel had a judicial seizure order and the crew. So that means the crew is now subject to prosecution for any applicable violation of federal law. And they will be brought to the United States for such prosecution if necessary.
They're talking about any Russians that are on board. And I don't know if there are any, to be honest. The Russians have said if there are any Russians on board, they have to be returned to Russia, but they're looking at prosecuting them, Lembit.
Yeah, I'm not sure what for. That's like prosecuting a taxi driver who gave a baddie a lift.
Yeah.
After the baddie's got out of the car.
Does seem rather,
Yeah.
rather crazy.
The thing that she's been asked to do something very difficult there, and you had a sense that she wasn't 100% comfortable with it, but okay, she would obviously say she's very comfortable with it. They're getting themselves into hot water on the high seas. But once again, I would imagine Putin and Trump can sort this out. The point is that the Europeans have shown themselves to be utterly impotent, utterly irrelevant, and utterly unconsulted by all this.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's only this situation is only going to get worse. Let's talk about the British part in this then, Lembit, because we had a Poseidon takeoff from Lossiemouth that took part in this operation. And of course, we've got our old Big Chops warmonger Healy, the Secretary of Defence or the Secretary of War, like Pete Hegseth wants to be. Today, our UK Armed Forces showed skill and professionalism in support of a successful US interception of the vessel Bella 1 while on its way to Russia. This action formed part of global efforts to crack down on sanctions busting. No, Europe. The ship with a nefarious history, wow, is part of a Russian-Iranian axis of sanctions evasion, which is fueling terrorism, conflict, and misery from the Middle East to Ukraine. Oh God, a guy almost makes me want to vomit. Skill and professionalism, going up in the air and going, there it is, guys.
Well, there's very little I can add to what you said. What we see is the total disintegration of British political credibility. These people, they're driving the British public into non-cooperation with the government. This government isn't going to be able to rule by consent for much longer because of the level of idiocy that they show. And they continue to ensure that Britain remains an irrelevant laughing stock around the world.
Now, I think you could be right. I mean, it does seem very, very strange, doesn't it? While we're talking about all of this, I mean, you've got China are getting upset about this as well.
Are you surprised?
No, not at all, not at all. So let's get into this then. Venezuela is going to be governed properly. This is Philadelphia a couple of months ago, Lembit. This is Philadelphia being governed properly. Lembit, there's every chance of Venezuela being governed properly, isn't there?
Well, they don't say that it's the drugs coming from Venezuela that's causing that, of course. Well, in America, I'm going to have to go very shortly, by the way, but in America, there's something like 32,000 deaths by gunfire every year. Half of them are suicide, other half are homicide. Roughly speaking, that means there are 40 homicides a day with guns. That's a very bad number. And if you think about it, combination of the drugs. And I understand why Trump's trying to stop the drugs. He's got personal historical reason for this from his family. That's why he's teetotal. That's why he doesn't take drugs, I suppose. But there's a huge debate about what drugs policy should be, and I have a slightly different view of it. But I'm not here to preach to America how to do it. I've tried to change drugs policy in this country, but the big fundamental point here is that what we saw there was clearly lawless. The difficulty is even America's allies are worried about the lawlessness of what's been done in Venezuela. I have a simple problem with all of this myself. Do unto the others as you would have to have them do unto you. And for all those sanctimonious, preachy fools in the coalition of the Wallies, they've ruined their own argument now. They've ruined their own argument. They say, oh, it's illegal what happened in Venezuela, but it's good that it happened. You could easily see people who loathe the killings, arguably, allegedly conducted by Vladimir Zelensky's outfits of, and you know, this hasn't been proved, but nor has anything been proved against Maduro at this stage. In those areas which worry Putin, you could say that's his responsibility, and you can then say that he should be put on trial because there's some evidence of corruption, and if he's done nothing wrong, he'll be found innocent. What's the difference?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Lembit, I can't thank you enough for jumping on at very short notice. And of course, Lembit, where can people find you on your social media?
At Lembitopik, at LEMBITOPIK, LEMBITOPIK. I'm the one with the blue tick. Or come to Unprecedented TV, and you'll find us on YouTube. Please like and subscribe.
Lembit, once again, thank you very much. That's the end of the first. That's the end of the first half of the show. Please go and give Lembit a follow and a subscribe, and we'll see you with a special on the abduction of Ukrainian children right after this.